Welcome back to Humbled Highs. This is episode 13. I'm calling this one The Thirst for Happiness. I'm going to give you my background on my pursuit of happiness, my Will Smith movie. My life from age 14 to now, what I've learned in 30 years of pursuing happiness. It's what everybody seems to strive for in this world, and they feel like they get it, and then it falls away. And why is that? Why is it that we can have moments of happiness on mountaintops and then pitfalls and valleys of depression? Well, we aren't meant to live happy all the time on the mountaintop, are we? There are peaks and valleys in our lives, but what I've learned that pursuing happiness and pursuing pleasure only led me with more and more emptiness. So as a kingpin drug dealer, for many years, I was making $15,000 a week, and that was all profit. And they say in this world that money will buy you happiness, or money can't buy you happiness. Or some people will tell you, with a certain amount of money you can be content, or you'll find pleasure in money. And I was making $15,000 for years, a week, and it was my goal in life to be happy all the time, no matter the cost. And I could afford it. I would spend $5,000 on a vacation. I would go downtown Nashville and spend thousands of dollars at strip clubs. I would take all my friends out. Man, for my one of my birthdays in my early 30s, I threw my own birthday party. I rented out half of Dave & Buster's, and everybody that came to my party, I gave them a gift card and shots. I had it catered, and I thought I could buy my own happiness. I realized all those people, they had a ticket for fun, and I had to manufacture all of my happiness. It took quite a while of that for me to realize that happiness was elusive. With material things, I still, I'll be honest, I still have a thirst for material things. But I'm not led by the lie of our culture that says that things will make you happy, because I know they won't. And even knowing that, when I say I have an addiction to Jordans, and I got quite a collection, and I really enjoy them. I take care of them. But that feeling like when you're a little kid and you get a pair of shoes or something, it's a really big deal for a long time. For me, I get a new pair of J's and I break them out of the box, and I look them over and I smell them, and I keep them out of the box and I lace them up. But it's not like it used to be. It's not something that I depend on to carry on this happiness like it's some sort of a drug. It's just a thing. And if they were to all get stolen, I'm not going to fall into some depression because I've invested all this money into them. I wear them, and I like nice clothes and stuff because I like the way it makes me feel. I'm not dependent on somebody to tell me, hey, you look good. I'm doing it because I want to, because I enjoy it. And it's not something that drives me to happiness, because now I get my happiness from somewhere else. I pursued pleasure and I pursued happiness, and I found where it had its end. And I think that anybody that would win the lottery, or that's a celebrity, if you listen to an interview from them, they would say the same thing that I'm saying. In fact, I know that to be true because I've researched it. Like, what do wealthy people say? They don't value things so much anymore. The bling and the clothes and the trips, because it all gets old. Once you have access to things that most people don't, once you have full access to anything you want and to go anywhere you want, it just gets as old as that old pair of shoes. It has no glimmer. It has no shine to it anymore. It's just becomes a regular. And I found that material possessions just were meaningless to me. That one time that it was the most apparent when I went to the mall with my son. We had a few $1,000s with us, and we just, we did a couple trips around Opry Mills, which is a really big mall. And, our hands were just full of bags, and we had to go back out to the car to get some more money and to offload these bags. Now, my son, he still, he was super hype about it, but me, I found, like, for one of the first times, like, none of this stuff matters to me. Like, nothing is mattering at all. And it doesn't matter if I got a mink coat or 10 pairs of shoes at once. It had no meaning to me at all, and it couldn't make me happy. And I pursued happiness in relationships, in multiple relationships. And once I got everything that I thought that I wanted, that just became completely meaningless. I pursued control in happiness over people. I got happy out of being the boss and controlling people. After I had the reins over other people like a rider does to a horse, I knew it was a lie, and it was just the money that was keeping people there. I could practically say whatever I wanted to people in an ugly way, and they wouldn't leave. I said terrible things to a really close friend named Jacob, and I know he still remembers those things, but I was just feeling happy over control. So that's why these political people stay in office for so long, because that's the final straw of maintaining happiness and control. Is first you get the money, and then you get the power. And once you have everything, then controlling people it's a buzz. When you can tell people to go where you want them to go and do what you want them to do and pull your chair out for you, like I did, it's a buzz, and it's fun for a while. But I just woke up one day and I said, hey, if I didn't have what I have, if these people weren't leeching off me, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't do what I asked them to do, just like celebrities know. And I think politicians get a big head thinking that they're important because they can, they have some control over other people's lives. But I tell you, going back to happiness is based on your happenstances. It's like you're happy when you go to Disney World, but you're not happy when you get the bill. You seem to be happy as a child when you get all these opportunities, but you don't have any of the consequences. But what I've learned is that happiness is a choice. It's like love. That's a choice. It's like trust. That's a choice. You don't wait for happiness or try to manufacture it. You choose it. It's a choice. And I'm not saying you have to be happy for the bad things. You have to be happy in all circumstances, not because of the circumstance, but because of what's left over, right? There's always something left over. And let me tell you something. Your ears record what comes out of your mouth. The negative stuff that comes out of your mouth does not produce happiness in your life. In fact, it does the opposite. See, it's like a placebo effect. I mean, I can take a pill that says happiness, even though it has no medicine in it, and know that it's going to make me happy. Therefore, I am happy. Okay? I can also take a negative pill that says sadness, and my body knows that I'm ingesting that, and I become sad. So happiness, it's a choice. And I've said in another episode about love, love is not a feeling, love is a decision. Happiness is along the same lines, okay? So what I have pursued is going beyond the happenstance. And I know that happiness is a day-to-day choice, but I get something that's greater than that, and that's called joy. Joy is something that many people outside of Christianity, they don't get to experience. See, joy is higher than happiness. Joy is a long-lasting effect, and you could say it's a feeling, but I call it it's a knowledge, and it's a byproduct of faith. See, I know that nothing can be taken away from me that I don't need. I know that I woke up this morning with everything that I needed. Absent all the material things, the fact that I have a Lord and Savior that loves me and died for me, which is the highest thing anybody could ever do for you in love. And that I know that at any point in time I could die, and that I have security knowing that this life is just a fraction. That I am not a body with a soul. I am a soul with a body. And I was created for more than just this life. And so I look past this. I live in the here and now. I don't worry about what's coming in the future. I don't think about what happened in the past and feel guilty of it. I live with one foot in this reality and the other foot in eternity. I'm already living in eternity, if you think about it. All of our souls are eternal. So I think about that, and I'm like, nothing can be taken from me that I need. I have everything that I need when I woke up this morning. So I have happiness. I have joy. And another thing that I had pursued my whole life was, and I didn't even know what it was called till I started reading the Bible, it's this word called contentment. And that means that I don't need to add anything to my life in order to be happy, right? That I can sit quietly in a room without any stimulus and be content. That I don't need another pair of Jordans to be content. That I don't need another addition to my house to be happy. I don't need another car. I don't need to get my hair cut to be happy. All those things are well and good, but I don't depend on things to be content. Okay? Contentment, it's elusive for a lot of people. It's that when and then mentality. You know, for students, it's when I get out of high school, then I can be happy. And then when I go to college, then I'll know what I'm doing and I can be happy. When I get a career, then I'll be happy. When I make $100K a year, then I can be happy. When I get a wife or a husband, then I can be happy. When I get a family and a house of security, then I can be happy. And this will follow you your entire life till you're saying, when I can retire, then I can be happy. When I hit the lottery, then I can be happy. That will never happen, because every time you get to that point of then, there'll be another when. I learned that throughout my life. So when I was reading the Bible, I found this, after I lived all this life and stuff, Paul in Philippians 4, he said it awesome. He said, I know both how to have a little and I know how to have a lot. In any and all circumstances, I've learned the secret to being content, whether well-fed or hungry, whether in abundance or in need. I'm able to do all things through him who strengthens me. And you see that on Philippians 4:13 on a lot of football players' little eye patches, they wear under their eyes, and they just say, I'm able to do all things through Christ that strengthens me. But that in context, that doesn't encapsulate the whole meaning of it. I have learned to be content because I have been flat broke more than once. I've been homeless, and I've lived a wealthy life as well. And I've learned now on this side of it is that I could lose all of it, wake up tomorrow, and still have the same contentment. That with little or with a lot, with food or hungry, I've learned the secret, and that's through the one that strengthens me. That's God. He's the one that provides my contentment. See, he is the rock bed, the foundation of what I put my life on. Like a house, if you build it on the when and then mentality, you're building it on sand, and the house falls apart, and you're never going to be content. But I put my house, my life, on this rock bed, this bed that will never change, and that's my relationship, and that my eternity is secure, and that I am made right because of the sacrifice Jesus did for me. He paid for all my wrongdoings on that cross. And when I accepted what he did for me, and when I laid down my life and gave it to him to say, this is not my life, it's your life, you can do with it what you will. Like he's the manager of my life. He's my Lord. That's what that means. So I gave up my life because he gave up his life for me. And it gave me this eternity as a child of his. So that's the bedrock that I put my foundation. I built the foundation of my life on that. And now I'm in a place where I don't live in this when and then mentality. I live in this mentality like, what do you want me to do, Lord? That's what I pursue. That's what makes me happy. I don't need to pursue these material things, relationships, control over people, because control is just an illusion that we tell ourselves that we have control. So that's another thing that I've learned. Control is not real. We have very, very little choices in our day-to-day lives, but yet we struggle to have all this control. This word picture came to me several years ago, and I tell a lot of people about it. There was this little plastic toy that maybe some of y'all got as a kid, and it goes over your lap, and it's like this steering wheel, and it's got the little honk horn, and it's got a little gear shifter and some buttons and some little things like a light that you could, pretend to flip on, and used to be in the back seat, and you sit it over your lap while mom or dad or grandpa or whatever was driving. And as they're making the turns, you're pretending to make the turns, but you're really not. Sometimes the car may turn in the direction that you're turning, or you turn it afterward and you say like, yeah, I'm in control. And I was in this word picture in my mind, and I looked to the front seat, and I saw that Jesus was in the front seat, and he looked at me, and he just giggled like a parent would to a child, like, you really think you're in control? And I just took that steering wheel and I just threw it down, and I said, you know what? I'm tired of playing myself. I'm tired of getting mad when the turn doesn't go the direction that this fake steering wheel is turning. I'm just gonna sit back here, let you take the wheel, and let you take me where you want me to go. What I'm not saying is don't make any choices at all. You have many choices in your life, but to elude yourself and think that you have control over everything, that's when you're playing God. And you really don't have control. As I'm wrapping this up, I want to just tell you some other things. A lot of what I've learned in the backwards way when I started reading the writings of Solomon. He wrote Proverbs, he wrote Ecclesiastes, and he calls himself the teacher in it. And I tell a lot of people, like, man, I learned like Solomon did, but in the backwards way. See, I was lost when I learned all this stuff about money and pleasure and possessions and control. I learned it all, and I learned that it was all meaningless. And then when I read Ecclesiastes, I was like, man, this dude really gets me. He says, the abundance of the rich permit him no sleep. Now, how many rich people do you know that's got the boat and the 4 cars and a house full of crap and another house down in Florida, and anything that goes wrong with it, that man cannot sleep at night. That woman cannot sleep at night because they're kept up awake thinking about the many possessions that they have. Why? Why be worried about something that's just material, that's just going to turn into rust or moths are going to eat it? Why build this massive empire to hand it over to some kid who's not going to appreciate it? Why do that? So the love of money will never be enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness. And it is meaningless. I mean, I want you to do some Google searching on your own. Research what rich people say when they're on their deathbed. They're not bringing their diplomas with their pride or their bank accounts. They want people around them that love them. They're not interested in the things they have because they know a U-Haul. You've never seen a U-Haul following a hearse to the funeral, have you? Because you can't bring that stuff with you, and you're going to pass it on to some spoiled kid who's not going to appreciate everything that you've built and amassed. Why not live for the purpose God created you for and stop worrying about how much you're going to die with? You can't take that money in the grave like Drake said. It's funny because I think he gets it too from that song. He's so prideful that he would want to have his money buried with him. The summation of Solomon's writings is in Ecclesiastes 2. There's nothing better for a man than to eat, drink, and enjoy his work. I've seen that even this is from God's hand, because who can eat and who can enjoy life apart from him? For the man who is pleasing in his sight, he gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and accumulating in order to give to the one who is pleasing in God's sight. This too is futile and a pursuit of the wind. That's what I learned. So I stopped pursuing all those other things. I just want to eat, drink, enjoy my work, and be a part of what God has got for me in this life. That's what gives me happiness. That's what gives me joy. And that's what gives me contentment. I hope this is maybe changing your perspective. Maybe going to stop some things from happening and going to change some things. Because ask me personally, I'm happy. I'm happy because I choose to. I'm joyful for what was done to me and where I know I'm going. And that I woke up with everything that I needed this morning. You can have it too. If you guys like this episode, please share it. Like it. Post it on your social medias. Do me a favor. I've got almost 1,000 listens in 12 episodes. So this is reaching some people. I know there's people in jail that are listening to it, and shout out to you. I know there's people in broken families. I know there's Christians who have been playing themselves that this is helping. So I'm just glad to be a part of it, that God is using me to use this podcast to do that. I love you. Know that God loves you.